Hello, today I just wanted to share with you guys how to create an HTML form with autofocus attribute. What it means is autofocus is automatically the field gets highlighted when the page loads. And so if we go to the specs, HTML5 specs, so what it says here, autofocus attribute. Autofocus content attribute allows the author to indicate that an element is to be focused as soon as the page load. So as you can see, this is the form. So we're going to create this form, and it's a responsive form. Okay, and just gonna close it and show you guys the code. So this is the code, and just gonna open it with the live server. You see on page load, the field name, the name field, automatically it gets highlighted with autofocus and the cursor blinking within the field. Okay, so just gonna delete the code from my editor and then recreate the form step by step. Okay guys, so I have the form tag, and within the form tag we're gonna place a few tags, a few divs. The first div is this one. I'm just gonna copy and paste because I already have the code. The first div is, it wraps around the label and input for name and name, like label name, and the field, the input field also for the name. And then the second one is this one. So what we have here in this construct, we have our wrapper div with the field wrap. Then we have the nested div that wraps around label and input for the name. And then we have another div that wraps around label and input for the email field. And then these two, they're wrapped around by this field, by the div with the class Fieldwrap. Okay. So the next chunk of the code is email. The message. So the message is done like this. So we have a wrapper div with the class message, and then within this wrapper div we have label and then text area. So these are for the message, okay? And these are grouped together again by this wrapper div, okay? And the last one, we have our button. And for button, we use the button element. So submit button. Okay, let's take a look how it looks without CSS in the browser. Okay, this is how it looks in the browser right now. So just a pure HTML with no CSS. And now we're gonna do some CSS styling. So the first rule set would be to target the form itself, the form element. What we do here is we give it max width 780 pixels and then width 100, so it stretches within the max field. Whatever is within this form element, it'll stretch to the width of this max width. And then we give it margin top 5 rem auto left and right auto, and then margin bottom 0. Okay, let's see. So it looks like this. Okay, next rule is we are targeting our Fieldwrap class, and let's see what it does. So again, back to our code Fieldwrap, we give it display flex. So this container becomes a flex box, and those divs, they become flex items. So what we do is we display flex and then justify content space between, and let's see what's the change. Okay, we see there is a space between the name and email. So our name and email. Next one, we're targeting the divs within this class. So this and this. And for this, we're using flex shorthand property with 3 values, which is flex grow, flex shrink, flex basis. This rule set, it targets a child selector, so children of the Fieldwrap. This one, this, and this. So we say flex grow 0, don't grow, meaning don't grow. Flex shrink 0, meaning don't shrink. And then flex basis is the width. And what it means, we can actually go to our CSS tricks, complete guide to flexbox. I often go to this resource. And here they have, this is a shorthand for flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis. And you scroll up, you'll see what each of them means. Okay, so Fieldwrap. So we target those divs. So then the next one, we target the input field within Fieldwrap. Fieldwrap div input, Fieldwrap, and then divs, and then input, this one. So we give it the width and the height. Okay, we see the change now here. So the width and the height. Then we target our labels. Our labels within Fieldwrap again. So Fieldwrap div label, Fieldwrap div label, and then message label, this one. So we give it a height and line height to 2.5 rem. So looks like this. Next one, we target the text area. Text area, we can just target it directly because we have only one text area. And we just give it the width 100% and then resize none. Okay, so for now it looks like this. This is the text area. And then we just style our button. I have a couple of rules for the button. So button, we make it the flex container. Whatever sits within the button, it becomes like a flex context, flex item. And so we do display flex, we remove the border, We add padding, some margin, font size, cursor pointer, background white, and then the color and the border, and then some body radius. And then on hover, it's just a color change of the font. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so we have on hover, so this is our cursor pointer. And then the last chunk of this is the media query to style how it looks on smaller screens, the form. So our media query is pretty simple. It's max width at 780. So if it meets, when it hits this criteria, so we do the form margins. We change the margin. Before it was 5 rem auto 0, and then here we have 1 rem auto and then 1 5 rem. Then we target Fieldwrap. So our Fieldwrap was before the media query, it was display flex, and then by default we know when we do display flex, by default it becomes flex row. So it's from left to right, the main axis, and then when we change it to flex flow column, it becomes from top to bottom, the main axis changes. Okay, and then the next one, we target the divs within the Fieldwrap. So we make it auto. So flex grow, flex screen, flex basis, and then auto. It's a default, I think. We're gonna double check. Let's check what was it before the media query. So it's Fieldwrap div. So Fieldwrap. So before we gave it the 23.5, and then we just make it auto. So it means it will adjust based on the screen. So let's see here what auto means. Flex basis. Let's go here. This defines default size of then before remaining space is distributed. So this is the default auto. If set to 0, the extra space content isn't factored in. If set to auto, the extra space is distributed based on flex grow value. Okay, so now we're gonna resize this and see how it looks on resize. Let's also try some other stuff. What we do? Yeah, so it's 360 screens, Galaxy, Pixel 2, pretty much. Pixel. We're gonna move the screen. Okay, so as we can see, our form is responsive. So And yeah, just to recap, is what is important is back to our autofocus attribute. Again, back to our code. Here, let's just add. So it can be only present on few elements. So if we go to David Walsh, he says here it can only be present on input, button, and text area. Okay, and again, the type of attribute, it says here autofocus content attribute, to indicate, allows also to indicate the element is to be focused as soon as the page is loaded. Okay, and then it is, the attribute type is boolean attribute. And what it means, boolean, if we go here, the presence of a boolean attribute, an element, represents the true value, and the absence of the attribute represents the false value. So here we have a note: the value true and false are not allowed on boolean attributes. To represent the false value, the attribute has to be omitted altogether. So in other words, if there is no attribute, it means false. If there is an attribute, it means true. Okay, so and if we go back to our code, say for example we want to do input, the name, so we just type autofocus, and then once we go here, so when the page loads we already have it selected, like highlighted, with the cursor blinking within this. Okay, that's all guys I wanted to share with you guys. As always, thank you for watching.